Welcome back to the Crochet Chronicles, my friends over at yarnspirations.com. I'm your host Mikey. Today I'm going to do a 2-in-1 special. I'm going to be demonstrating this blanket in two different ways. I'm going to be using Bernat Velvet Plus, and I'm going to be demonstrating what you see in the picture. But for those that don't want to use that yarn or don't have access to that yarn, I'm going to be demonstrating at the middle part of this tutorial the same thing but using Super Saver Ombre. So Red Heart Super Saver Ombre. So this is the best of both worlds, just in case you don't see exactly where the stitches need to go. Using the Bernat Velvet Plus, at least middle way through, you'll be able to see that. So without further ado, let's just take a look at the instructions. It's just a one page, and let's begin. If you're doing this blanket in the Bernat Velvet Plus, you'll need 9 balls in order to complete with a 10mm size N crochet hook. Now if I was to do this in Red Heart Super Saver Ombre, I would use probably a 5.5mm, a size I crochet hook, but I do not know how many balls of yarn that you'll do. Typically an Afghan takes about 7 balls, but the the Red Heart Super Saver Ombre is about 10 ounces, so maybe 5 balls of that in order to have a decent size. So we can change the size of this particular blanket, and we'll be talking about that because the chain is only 57, but remember that we're using really thick yarn with a 10mm hook. So just ignore this section here. It's a little diagram that I used in order to determine the instruction. So if you chain in an odd number like 57 or 59 or 61, you will always have this thing work out. So always chain in an odd number in order to get yourself to be balanced. So for the particular idea, so this particular blanket is 44 inches wide by 50 inches using the Bernat Velvet Plus. So you may want to go extremely long when it comes to the Red Heart Super Saver Ombre. What I would do is chain in an odd number until you get to the width that you would like to go, and then you can stop. So as long as it's an odd number, it'll work out for you. So without further ado, I'm gonna head in now and we're gonna do the Bernat Velvet Plus as the first, and you can see the video chapters of this particular one in the video description and also the pinned comment if you'd like to just jump ahead to the Super Saver version. So this is the Bernat Velvet Plus, so it's a lot bigger than regular velvet, and so we're going to begin. So just leave a tail on so that you can throw that through a tapestry needle, which I'll demonstrate in just a few moments. So we're going to just put this on as a slip knot. So it's harder to see the stitches with this yarn. That's why I'm doing a 2-in-1 special. So remember that doesn't count as one. So you can either chain 57 to have exactly what you see, or just chain in an odd count. So that's what I'm gonna do. So I'm going to just chain 17. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17. So it's an odd number. It's all good to go, and now we're going to go on to row number 1. So with your fingertips with this yarn, you can actually feel where the chains are inside, so you're just gonna be able to do that. So it's harder to demonstrate that on camera because it is a feel. So I'm gonna count to the 4th chain back. So here's 1, and then I can feel 2, 3, and 4. So when I go to the 4th one, that's where I'm going to double crochet. So wrap the hook and double crochet into that one. So as soon as you get that first one marked or pretty much located, it's so much easier. So then I'm gonna go to the next one. So just use your fingertips and feel where the next one is going to be, and you're going to just double crochet yourself all the way back across. You should have an odd number of double crochets by the time you get back across. Okay, so that will always work out as long as you have an odd number. So please just double crochet on the chain all the way back to the beginning, and I'll see you back here in just a moment. So I've crocheted all the way across my chain. So I want to verify that there's an odd number, so all you can just do is use your fingertips. You can actually feel it. So there is a double crochet there. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. So 15 is an odd number, so it's good to go. So say you had 16 or an even number, what you can just do is just back it out. So just pull it out, and then you can undo this knot just one time, and then that can reduce that down for you. So actually Jeannie does that when she designs, but don't tell anybody she does that, but it's a great way to be able to improvise if you have to. So we're going to turn our work and go on to row number 2. In row number 2, we're going to just chain 1 and then just feel the open stitches at the top. So you're going to slam in one single crochet into each of the stitches going across. So this requires fingertips in order to have that. So it's like the Bernat Pipsqueak, all those fun novelty yarns. You really do use your fingertips, if anything, to be able to use this yarn. So please do this all the way across, and I'll be back in just a moment. When you get all the way to the other side, don't forget this turning chain is an actual stitch as well. So go in the top of the turning chain. Don't go into a space. Just use your fingertips. You can feel it, and you'll get that last one in so you have a flat edge. You're gonna turn your work, and now we're going to do row number 3, and let's begin that next. So let's begin row number 3. So we're gonna create those texture that you see now, and so we're going to chain 3, which will count as your first double crochet, and so your next stitch, just feel for it, is the next one. So it's not this one where this is coming out of, it's right here. So you want to follow that all the way down to the double crochet that you see right directly below, and you're going to do as a front post treble. So wrap the hook twice, and coming around that post, just pop it in through the back, or from the front to the back, and then back out to the front, and then yarning over, pulling it through, and then you're gonna pull through 2, 2, and 2, and that makes up a treble. So that counts as the stitch that it's sitting in front of and behind, and so you'll just single crochet, sorry, you're gonna double crochet into the next stitch. And this gets much easier in the future because you'll be able to see these popping out even more. So you're going to then skip. When you look at it, you did this one as a front post treble, so this one you're not gonna touch, but you're gonna now go into the next one after that. So you're doing every other one down 2 rows below, and that's a front post treble. So wrap that hook twice, and then 2's all the way back up, and then in the very next stitch you're going to double crochet. This is also called the Alpine stitch, just so you know. And so you're gonna do that all the way across. So every other stitch is jumping down, and the stitches in between are staying on the top of the same row as a double crochet. So please do this all the way across, and I'll meet you at the end of the row in just a moment. When you come to the other side, I'm just gonna be jumping down one more time. So this is the one before the very end, and I'm just keeping the right counts, nothing special, and the very last one is going to be a double crochet. So you can see that the texture has now been created on this side of the work. So what we have here is that this here is going to be the texture side, you can see it, and the other side will remain flat. You're gonna turn your work now, and we're going to begin row number 4. Row number 4 is the same as number 2. So every other row is exactly the same, and so you're gonna chain up 1, and you're just going to zip across with a single crochet in the top of each of the stitches going across. This is what's creating those boundaries to jump over, that creates that beautiful texture that you're looking for in this particular project. So just single crochet all the way across for row number 4, and I'll be right back. Go right to the end, and make sure that you go into that turning chain, and I'll be right back in a second. So make sure that you do go into that turning chain right at the very end. Go into the chain work itself, not into a space, and then you're gonna turn your work and begin the 5th row, which is the final of the repeat. So the 5th row, let's talk about that. So the 5th row is going to be jumping down in between these sections here. Okay, so the double crochets that are in between, those is where you're going to concentrate. So you're gonna leave the ones that are popping out alone. So let's begin row number 5. Chain up 3 counts as a double crochet, and because this is row number 5, the very next one has to be a double crochet into the regular stitch work. Okay, now we're going to start jumping down. So find the one after the one's popping out here. It's right here. It's the 3rd one in, and that's where you're gonna do a front post treble around that one. And then the very next one, and if you follow it straight up now, the very next one is just a double crochet. So really, now that we have the orientation from what you see below, it's pretty easy to see where the stitches are going to go. So the next one dropping down is in between the 2 that are popping out. It's right here, and it's a front post treble, and you're gonna do that all the way across. So then you'll double crochet on the row, and then front post treble, and the one in between. Please do this all the way across. This is row number 5. So because this is row number 5, the last 2 stitches that are left will each be a double crochet. So just remember that the first 2 started off with 2 double crochets in a row, so the chain 3 plus the double crochet was next, and then you drop down. So when you go to repeat the pattern now, the pattern repeat is now 2 through 5 once again. So 2 will be a single crochet, then 3 is here, so you'll see these dropping down here, and then 4 is a single crochet, and then 5 is this all over again. So I'm just going to take you through rows number 2 and 3 one more time just so that you understand coming down in. So just turn your work and let's begin row number 2. So just chain and just chain 1 and just single crochet across the tops for row number 2, and then I'll be back in a second for row number 3. So go right to the end and make sure you go into that turning chain as I've indicated before. So row number 2 is complete. I've already turned. So row number 3 we're going to come back down and just see have it here. You can see it's just exactly like this. So you're going to chain 3, which will count as your first double, and then the very next one is going to be just follow it straight on down, and it's before this one pops out, and that's going to be your front post treble. So it reminds me of the sandbars of the beach of Sable Beach in Lake Huron. That's what it reminds me of. So the next one will be a double crochet, and then the next one jumps down in between where the other 2 are popping. So it's right here, and that's our front post treble. So you just have to continue to do this pattern over and over and over. So just rows number 2 through 5, and you can have this particular blanket. This will grow really quickly because of the size of the yarn and the thickness of the hook, and so it's one of those projects that you could probably even finish over a couple days if you have the yarn on hand, and you'll be blazing through. So I will show you just in case you need to know on how to fasten this off, and then I'll be moving to the Super Saver example with Ombre in a few more moments from now. So at the end of row number 3, don't forget the one just before the end is a front post treble, just like it was when we did it before. So it maintains that, and then you're gonna double crochet in the final. So you're gonna repeat rows number 2 through 5 over and over and over. When you're finally finished with the height that you would like it to be, it's suggesting to go up to 50 inches. The final round has to be a single crochet. Sorry, the final row is a single crochet. So chain up 1, and then you're just going to single crochet across the top, and then you're officially done, so that it has the balance and it looks like the very beginning. So just single crochet across, and then I'll show you how to fasten off. So once you're ready and you're ready to finish, just cut this yarn. Now you'll need an eye of a needle that will be able to get this through. So just pull this through the final loop to lock it. Now it's almost like my dog, puppy dog. There's a lot of fluff here, but the actual core is actually really quite small. So you should be able to use a regular size needle in order to force that through. You'll be surprised. It's all bark and no bite. So what we have here is that we're just going to turn it to the wrong side, and you'll do this with any of the loose ends that you have, and just come into the inside of the work, go about an inch and a half, and pull it, but do not change the shape of your project. And then go through a slightly different path using your fingertips. Stay on the inside of the project, go through the second time, and then third time another slightly different path going back. And this should never fall out on you. Okay, so once you get that cut, you can go right down in, and you'll want to do that with any loose ends that you have, and this would be how you do it. So without further ado, we're gonna move on to the Super Saver example, just in case this was too hard for you to follow. So let's begin again. I'm gonna use Red Heart Super Saver Ombre that transitions slowly through the color line. So I'm gonna guess that you may need 5 balls for this particular example to do a blanket. It could be more, but what we want to do is chain in an odd count, and then chain the width of the blanket that you would like to do, and that's kind of neat. So you see it on the sample here how it's changing color. This will also do the same, and it will do a pretty cool job as well. So use a 5.5 millimeter size eye crochet hook as my recommendation, and we're going to begin this all over again but using the other yarn instead, so it's easier to see the stitch work. So let's begin again. So I don't have an actual chain count for the blanket, so what you want to do is chain in an odd number. So just keep counting until you get an odd number, and then you can stop. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17. So 17 is an odd number, right? So if you want it bigger, then all you just have to do is keep on going. You can just lay it down on something if you would like to match your sofa or bed, and that's how you would be able to do that. So let's now progress to row number 1. In row number 1 we're going to go 4 chain from the hook, so you can actually see it this time. So 1, 2, 3, and get the back hump. I didn't suggest that for the Velvet Plus because of the fact is you can't even tell. So what I want to do is just back hump, and I want to double crochet, and staying on the back hump all the way across your chain, just double crochet itself. Now when you count those double crochets, which includes this chain that you just created, so you technically see 3, you should have an odd number count when you get over there. So that should work out for you. So please just double crochet across the chain for row number 1. So coming all the way across, I should count an odd number of double crochets, which I do. Just in case you have an even number, you can always, just like I mentioned in the Bernat Velvet, you can just say, just subtract 1 out if you need to have that so it's an odd number, and then you can just undo this knot there just 1 time in order to go smaller. It's kind of how we design behind the scenes too. So we're going to turn our work and begin rows number 2 through 5, which is the repeat of this pattern. So rows number 2 and 4 are always the same. You're just gonna chain up 1, and you're just going to put in a single crochet in each of the stitches going all the way across. So this is row number 2, just 1 single crochet in each stitch. I'll see you at the end of this row in just a moment. When you get all the way to the other side, see this turning chain? You gotta include that. So don't go into a space itself, but go right into the turning chain, and so therefore you won't lose any count. So new crocheters tend to forget that's there, or they don't see it. So that's how you keep a straight edge. So you're gonna turn your work, and let's begin row number 3. In row number 3 we're going to start up and we're gonna chain 3, which will be your first double crochet, and I want you to come and look at this one down here, and that's where your next stitch is. It's around this post. So you're gonna do a front post treble. So you're just gonna wrap that hook twice, and then coming into the side of that same post, stay on the front, and you're gonna pull through, and then pull through 2, 2, and 2, and that counts as the stitch that it's sitting in front of. On the Bernat Velvet I couldn't show you that, but that's what it means. So the very next stitch is where you're going to double crochet, and so now that we have this established, every other one is going to be this front post treble. So this one right here where my thumb is moving, that's the next one. So wrap the hook twice, and coming into the front, this is also called the Alpine stitch. So you'll double crochet into the next one. So if you're not sure, turn it. This one here is the same one that it's sitting in front of, so it's the second one over is where you'll double crochet. Okay, so then skipping the next one, come down, and if you're not sure, just lean it forward and you can see 1 and 2. So it's the second one. And technically if you're skilled at this, you'll be able to come down, and you'll know instantly that the next one that you see right here is the actual double crochet. And you're gonna do this all the way across, and this is row number 3. So as you get closer to the other side, the one before the edge is the one you're gonna jump down to. There's no extra special math. It's just a matter of doing every other one like we showed you before. And then the very last one is just a double crochet. So in row number 3, these are closer to the edge than you'll see in number 5. So turn your work and let's begin row number 4. In row number 4 you're going to chain 1, and you will put in 1 single crochet in each. So this is the same as row number 2. So just remember, every other row is a single crochet, and it allows you to be able to play on the front side. So the texture is only on the front side of the work, and the back side that you're looking at now, there's no texture. It's just completely flat. So just go all the way across for row number 4, and you need to make sure you go into that turning chain that's at the end. So that turning chain right here, you're gonna go right into the chain work itself to keep that. So don't forget that's there, and turn your work, and we're going to begin row number 5. So the last part of the repeat is row number 5. So see where this is jumping out in front of and the other one's not? So in row number 5 it's always the third one that's going to be the one that we start jumping down into. So the first 2 are always gonna be double crochet, and the last 2 will always be double crochet. So just keep that in mind. And you'll see this, you'll be able to put down the pattern later, meaning that you'll remember that. So you're going to chain 3. That counts as your first double. See, this one's jumping out, so you want to double into the one that's right there. And then where these two are jumping out, you're going to play with the one that's not jumping, and that'll be your front post treble there. And that will pull it up, which creates the look that we're going for. So the next one here is going to be a double. If you're not sure, just lean it back forward. See, it's the second one. So this one is the same one it's in front of. The second one is where the double crochet is. Okay, so the next one has to jump down. It's a front post treble. Okay, and then the next one is a double. And again, lean it forward if you have to, if you don't see those. And this is creating the texture in between the other two front post trebles that are already there and below. And so you'll continue all the way across, and just remember the very final 2 stitches of this are just double crochets. So row number 5 doesn't go all the way to the edge like row number 3 did. Okay, so then you're just going to come on down like that. So I'm going to just demonstrate. So we actually have to finish off on a row number 2 to finish the whole project off, but I'm going to demonstrate rows number 2 and 3 one more time just to make sure you got it. So row number 2, just turn your work, chain 1 and single all the way across. And whatever you do, just don't forget that last turning chain. If any big comments that we get on anything is the turning chain that people miss. And then, so the turning chain, go right into the turning chain, then you turn your work and then begin row number 3. So chain up 3 to begin. So 3 starts off with the treble near to the edge, so it's the second one in, and you see where these two are jumping, so it's the one before it is going to be the front post treble, and then you double into the next. Again, you can lean it forward if you don't see that. Okay, so the ones that are not jumping out and the ones that are sinking in behind are the ones that you are doing the front post treble, and it's every other stitch. And then that will pull it out of the background, which will make the texture of the Alpine stitch that we're going for in this particular example. See that? So as I mentioned, the very final row to finish off this blanket, there is no border. People are gonna message, I want to do a border. Just probably do a single crochet around just to get yourself established with putting 3 single crochets in a corner if you're going to. The pattern is not designed to have it, but that doesn't mean you can't do it. I think anything is possible with crochet if you're determined enough. So just improvise and play. So this is row number 3. So the one just before the edge is going to be a front post treble. And then the very last stitch is a double. And then if you're saying you're done and you're happy with the height of it or the length of your blanket, just chain up 1 and just put in single crochets all the way across. So you're finishing on technically on row number 2. So you'll do 2 through 5, 2 through 5. You'll get to the height that you want, and then just do row number 3 once again, or row number 2 once again, sorry. And then you will have a nice counterbalance to this particular project. So with the Red Heart Super Saver Ombre, you'll have a color transition going on that's ever so slight, and it's gonna be amazing. And then once you're done, you'll be good to go. So let's just show you how to fasten off. So just pull it through and turn it to the back side of the work. So put it with a tapestry needle. I used to be able to weave these in like when I was young, but they always fall out even when you're not even washing. So just put it through a tapestry needle, go through once and then twice and then three times. So back and forth 3 times. You'll want to do this with any loose ends that you'll have, and therefore they should never fall out on you. And that would be how you do the Seriously Snuggly Seriously Snuggly crochet blanket. And it's really neat. The texture's there, and I think no matter which way you go, it's going to be an amazing time. So have a good one, and we hope to see you again real soon. Bye bye.